It seems that the options are either ignore this entirely, extend benefit of the doubt, or in perhaps a misguided moment of optimism, seek clarification and provide some clarification. Every one of these 5 questions was leading. Whether there was an earnest intent to discover information or not, every one of these questions ties into an almost boilerplate apologetic argument. Also problematic is the assumptions made in order for the questions to be asked. These questions are not questions entirely. They are also statements. What you have here is a series of response vids. This is no prep. This is no forewarning. We were watching the questions, and you see, in part, our responses. They were edited not for quality of content or what have you, but simply for pertinence. If we go off on a 40-minute tangent about an art exhibit that we saw that day, I cut that. If we say something inflammatory, brash, and pertinent to the question, I left it in. So what you're seeing is the off-the-cuff responses to the questions, yes, but also the posture from which the questions are asked. Question 1, is there something on account of nothing? Is there something rather than nothing on account of atheism? Again, extending the benefit of the doubt and assuming that you did not actually mean to say that an atheist would imply that because they do not believe in God, that accounts for things existing, which is the syntax of the original question. There is still the implication that an explanation is 1, possible, 2, necessary. Second, the points regarding arguments for theism, I mean, again, fairly overt, but I thought something productive could come of that. Something productive did come of that, in that we, by and large, answered that question pretty overtly, pretty directly, and without sarcasm or playing to the tone of the question. Question 3. Ultimate meaning. You are assuming that such exists and that those who oppose or have ambiguities or have questions regarding the question of an anthropocentric God, and let's be very clear, that's what we're talking about when we're talking about this particular worldview, that in the absence of that, one would need to have an anthropocentric meaning. It's God without the Godhead. It is still a nous with intentionality. Really, one might as well be asking, if one does not believe in God, what God does one believe in? So, yes, leading question, fairly overt. And again, I wouldn't even point out that these tie into apologetic arguments if I didn't hear these arguments every day, if I hadn't seen you use a couple of them from time to time. Right along. Question number 4, were you raised in a religious household? And much is made of the distinction between Christian and Catholic. Had the original phrasing been Protestant or Catholic, there would be no issue. But again, there is this presumed security of position and presumed authority in security of position that was most obvious in that phrasing, whether it was a slip of the tongue or otherwise. That I would call a Freudian slip. And the goals, and this is one that as a Christian one should pay particular attention to. Christians pay very close attention to this point, because the central argument posed by the phrasing of the question is that if you do not get rewarded for it, it is not worth doing. Did you catch that? If you are not rewarded for it, it is not worth doing. Is that a stance on ethics that you're comfortable with? Is that a stance on morality that you are comfortable with? I mean, I personally find it pretty horrifying. I find it to run contrary to all to what Christianity has to offer the world as a moral system, as an ethical system, as a societal system, as a system for personal accountability, or for that matter, even as a metaphysical, supernatural, or expository system. It just flies right in the face of it that the ultimate moral end in Christianity is informed self-interest. Let that sink in for a moment, and then ask yourself whose company that puts you in. And then again, ask about the reaction that you saw to that question. Now, I posted this rather than someone else. Note that this was not filmed on my camera. I edited this. Again, only for length, not for content. In the distant hope that contextualization would occur. You see, when someone whose opinion that you hold in some regard, however little, says something that you really don't like, or in a way that you really don't like. And here I think it's entirely fair to believe that both are the case. One has a choice. One can recontextualize their view of the person based on the most immediate stimuli, wherein one is discarding previous assessments and all previously exposed or extant data regarding this person based on the most immediate stimulus. Or one can attempt to contextualize this immediate stimulus with those things. Basically, you can take your opinion of me and reform it entirely based on what you see in this video, or you can interpret this video in the context of what you know about me. That's an entirely individual choice, and one way or another, I think I'm going to be retiring from this thread of argument for the foreseeable future.